I'd heard of Southend before. It's a big club, so I've heard of it. I think maybe one of my teammates spoke English. Again, that's the most minutes I've probably ever played in my career.
So how did you feel being recalled? I've asked, when are you coming back?
I'd love to see LA. I really want to come pick you with you. You'll be my American boy.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 26 of the Blues News podcast. On today's episode we have a very special guest who is actually in a completely different continent to me as we're filming this. So it's 6:30 for me at the moment. I believe it's about 11:30 in the morning for you.
Yeah.
It's about coming towards the evening for me. So we're just talking about it before the podcast. But a very special guest, ex-Southend loanee Bim Pepple. How are you, Bim?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you for having me on. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant. I'm really excited to have you on. It's been one that I've been, we've been talking about it for quite a while, but obviously you playing for Chesterfield and stuff, wanted to wait until the end of the season. But yeah, so are you excited to see how Southend get on Sunday? Obviously you're in Canada at the moment, but you excited to see how they get on?
Yeah, I've been following all the games since I left. Obviously the playoff games as well. They've been crazy. The last game, unfortunately, I was out the house. I was getting my hair cut while they were playing Forest Green, but I had James Golding updating me. Out. So that was crazy. And then the penalty shootout, I was just refreshing Twitter.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And when I see that they went through, I was really happy. So yeah, hopefully they get the job done on Saturday.
Yeah, it's been a crazy few games, isn't it? Have you missed it a little bit? Wish you maybe were out there a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's been crazy. Obviously, I enjoyed my time at Southend. I had playoffs myself as well, so I experienced a bit. Ours didn't go as planned, but yeah, of course I miss the boys and the club. But I'm just happy that it's going well so far. So hopefully they just get through the final hurdle.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about your time at Chesterfield, obviously a little bit later. We're also going to talk about your time at Southend. But firstly, I'd like to start how I do these podcasts. So usually just go through your career chronologically. So literally from your early days of, first kicking a ball. But before we talk about the football side of things, I always like to get to know you a little bit as a person as well, because I think that's always quite an interesting thing with these podcasts. So just for people who don't know at home, I'll probably read out quite a bit of stuff in between. So I believe you're born in England and then moved to Canada at the age of 5. So football aside for a moment, obviously you're quite young at the time, but what is that like moving, continent at such a young age?
Yeah, it's weird. So even in the way I talk, everyone kind of says my accent's a bit mixed between British and Canadian. So obviously I remember when I came over from England to Canada, no one played what we call it soccer or football. Yeah, no one played football. Everyone played hockey. I was like the weird kid who loved it, and I was kind of made fun of it for it. Then you get adjusted. I kind of see myself as Canadian. I grew up here, then moving back. Then I go back, and everyone's making fun of me. All my accent's so Canadian, stuff like that. So yeah, it was a big adjustment, but I enjoyed it. Now I have friends on both sides of the world. I feel quite comfortable being in England, quite comfortable being in Canada. So yeah, it's been a weird upbringing, but it's enjoyable.
Well, another thing, football side, we're going to talk about your football career in a moment, but something that is completely unrelated to football, but your birthday is actually on Christmas Day. I'm sure you talk about it quite a bit, but my birthday is the 13th of December. So I've always had that kind of, not quite as extreme as you, but having my birthday close to Christmas, you get family members buying you joint presents for Christmas and birthday, maybe you get half as much. But have you liked having your birthday on Christmas?
If I'm honest, when I was younger, I used to want my birthday to be on Boxing Day, so that you wake up, it's Christmas, you go through Christmas, then you go to sleep and it's your birthday. I feel like Christmas, and I always used to get angry that my brother's getting presents on my birthday. I don't get presents on his birthday, but now that I've grown older, I just it's an easy one for people to remember, so I don't mind it. It's no excuses not to get me presents in it. So
yeah, well, I always had that. It's like, seeing everybody, it obviously weren't quite as extreme for me, but, it'd be 2 weeks until Christmas. I'll get people giving me a birthday and a Christmas present. I'm like, there should be 2 separate presents here. I'm not sure that should be allowed.
cheap way out.
Yeah, exactly. So, onto your football career then. We're going to start with your time in Canada.
Oh,
Obviously, a country that's played a massive part in your career and life, of course. So in Canada, then, for people at home who don't know, you continue playing football, playing at a youth level for Eastside Memorial. Then in 2018, you competed in the Canadian Premier League Open Trials in Calgary, and you were I believe you were the youngest participant countrywide at just 15. So talk us through that whole experience and, getting these kind of opportunities and first tastes of football at such a young age.
yeah, it was quite weird. So the city I'm from is Calgary, so that's not like it's a big city, but it's not one of the major. The major cities are Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. They have the
Yeah.
MLS teams. So growing up for me, if you wanted to be like a professional footballer, you had to play for like one of those MLS academies. So people would like often leave like Calgary at like 12 years old, 13 years old to go move to those places and like be put in like a digs to try and make a professional. I never really went down that route. And then when I was about 15, my team or like Canada got its own league. So my city got its own team as well, and there was like open trials. And to be honest, I didn't really want to go. I was 15 or whatever. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
make it, whatever. But my dad kind of just said, no, no, go. Like if you don't try, you'll never know. So I went, and I was quite comfortable, to be fair. I got through to the end. I got invited to like a preseason game as well. And although I didn't end up signing immediately, I got a taste of it. I was like, oh, you know what? Like it's not as far as I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? So that was a good taste, and yeah, I didn't really know how up and down football would be at that point. I kind of just thought it'd be all sunshine and roses, sign
Yeah.
and then score a bunch of goals and keep moving up. But yeah, it was a first taste of professional football.
What do you think are the key differences? Because of course you played in Canada, football or soccer as you call it there. I'm sure there'll be some English people not very happy that I just called it that, but we'll say football/soccer for you. So what do you think are the differences between Canadian football or soccer and English football?
Yeah, the biggest difference is the physicality. I think technically wise, it's not it's not a huge difference. Maybe as you get higher into like the champ and the prem, like training with Luton stuff like that, you can feel the technical difference. But I think anywhere from League One to the National League, the technical difference isn't too big. It's the physicality. It generally feels like a whole different game. So I remember when I first came from Canada to Grimsby, and I played my first game. It was a Carabao Cup against Crew, and I was just getting thrown about. And I'm quite a big lad,
Yeah.
but in Canada, you kind of touch someone goes down, it's a foul. So you don't really
Yeah.
have to use your body and stuff like that. But I was 19, I came over, had no clue what to expect, and it was just a completely different game. So even sometimes, like my family or my friends are back at home in Canada watching the game, they're like, "Oh my goodness, like they're assaulting you." And I say like, "Nah, it's just how football is here. It's
Yeah.
quite different." So that makes it quite difficult to adjust. But yeah, that'll be the biggest difference. But obviously, the game's growing in Canada, year by year, so the quality's getting a bit better. So yeah.
Well, I imagine with League Two and National League, especially, those are such physical leagues, particularly National League. We're going to talk about League Two later, but as somebody who watches National League all the time, I know how physical that can be. So I'm sure that was quite a shock for you coming over. So in August 2019, then you signed your first pro contract with Calvary FC at just 16. Which is, I mean, I keep up with quite a lot of like under 18s and youth football at Premier League level and even the Southend youth team. And you signed it at just 16, I believe, which is a really quite young age to sign a professional contract. So how did that feel signing your first pro contract, particularly at such a young age?
Yeah, it was obviously it was an exciting moment, a proud moment. It was quite weird though because I'd never been in a professional academy, stuff like that. So I'd always just been playing kind
Yeah,
of local, like the highest level I could play here, but it was still like grassroots football. So to go from that and jump straight into a professional team, and then you have guys who have played in the Scottish Premiership or played in the Bundesliga who are like finishing their careers, stuff like that. So to go from, you know, playing with your local school friends to now jumping in a professional environment was a big jump, and it was probably a bigger jump than I had realized it would be at first. But but yeah, it was a good opportunity, and I'm still thankful that they gave me the opportunity and kind of saw the potential because I struggled a bit when I first joined with the intensity and stuff like that. So yeah, but it was a good learning experience.
Well, obviously, at this time, a little bit after, COVID came in, and I'm just curious because I haven't really asked many. I've done quite a few interviews with players who played during COVID, but I haven't really asked them how did COVID, because it was such like crucial time in your career. You just signed your first pro contract. How did that have an impact on your career?
Yeah, COVID was a weird time for me. So because
Mm.
obviously I was still in high school, so I don't know what you guys call it, sixth form in England, but high school.
Secondary school, but
Yeah,
I
so
think
it's
some
like the
people.
last year before you go to university. So what's
Yeah.
that? Sixth form?
So that will be either college or sit form. It's
Yeah.
what
So
I'm in now, so sit
yeah,
form. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm in the last year of sixth form, whatever. So high school
Mm.
at the same time as trying to play professional soccer, all in COVID. So it'd be weird. We had to do like training over Zoom, kind of like technical drills over Zoom, but I also
Oh,
have like school over Zoom as well. So I jump off like a call like this with my biology teacher or something, and then run to the basement, turn on Zoom, put on my football kit, and start like doing some drills. It was weird. And then we ended up for our season, we ended up doing a bubble. So all the teams flew over to one location. We're in like a hotel. You stay there for, I think it was about 2 months, 3 months. I'm not sure
mm.
how long exactly. And you just play almost like a tournament, play through um, to the end. So that was, yeah, it was a weird experience. It was only my second professional season as well, but yeah, it was unique, and I'm glad I experienced it.
Something that a lot of fans watching won't know, there's quite a few teams when I was doing research for the podcast that you've played for or had trials for that, a lot of fans wouldn't know. I mean, a lot of Southend fans probably just know about obviously Southend, Chesterfield, Luton, and Grimsby, and maybe Bromley. But in October 2020, you had a 2-week trial with Sheffield United and later Leicester City. So how did these go?
Yeah, so it was weird. Obviously, I was 16, 17 playing professional in Canada, so I had a bit of interest. So Sheffield United invited me over for a trial. I did 2 weeks there. It was enjoyable. Again, a big gap. I didn't quite get in, and obviously you go from the high of signing your first professional contract, making your professional debut all at 16, 17, to now you go over and you don't get in somewhere. So it's like kind of brings you back down to earth. Then I went to Leicester. Leicester, I had a bit of history because obviously I was born in Kettering, so it's just outside Leicester, and I moved to Leicester before I came to Canada. So I was actually in the Derby youth team, and then every summer when I moved back to Canada, I would come back and train with Leicester
Mm.
till I was about 13, I want to say. And one summer I was actually supposed to sign with them, and I ended up getting 𝗘𝟮🲓. So I came back one more time before I was supposed to sign my schoolboy. It was like a 2 year, it's the one before your scholar, your 2 year. I think it was
Oh,
a schoolboy contract. It was called. I was supposed to sign it. I had 𝗘𝟮🲓, couldn't move, and they kind of took that away from me or whatever. So they gave me another opportunity to come back when I was 17 and trial.
yeah.
Again, didn't get in. So that was a bit of adversity, and I ended up going to Getafe in Spain.
Yep.
So that was a big like culture shock. But I was just kind of so desperate to play in Europe. I was like, you know what, let me go try it. And I did a year in Spain. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about that next. Something that a lot of fans won't know, and myself included, to be honest, when I was researching, I was like, Getafe. I couldn't quite believe that I'd seen that. But yeah, so you did go to Getafe playing for their under-19s youth system, I believe. So how was
Yeah.
that? And
Yeah.
also, I imagine that's quite a culture shock as well, because Canada and England, I imagine that's at some level of culture shock. But Spain,
Yeah.
not speaking English as first language. So what was that like?
Yeah, that one was the craziest experience I probably had. So obviously when you get to the first team, you get a like international players, so everyone speaks different languages. But for the U19s, you're still in the youth academy, so it's still predominantly like local or different players from throughout Spain, stuff like that. You won't really have international. So I think maybe one of my teammates spoke English.
Wow.
So I remember walking in. Uh, And even for the trial, like, because at the time I was playing up front, but I also played on the wing. So I didn't know whether I was going to play striker on this trial or on the wing. And everything they do there is in Spanish. Like no one really tried to speak English.
Yeah.
So I always tell like my teammates when they ask me about it, I had to basically to find out what position I was playing. I had to like wait for everyone to go on the pitch, like for the kickoff. I'd just like tactically wait, see like which position is open, like if someone's not standing up front or on the wing, and then I'd just go fill in that position until eventually it kind of just, to be fair, it was good. It kind of forces you to learn Spanish. So eventually I was able to speak pretty well. I've lost a bit of it now, but I can still pretty much understand everything. My speaking's a bit slow now. But yeah, it was a good experience. They play a completely different type of football. So we talk about England being physical. Theirs was all technical.
Oh, okay.
It was technical football. Not really. So it didn't really suit me, but it was good at that time. I was 18 or whatever to learn a different style of play. And I never actually played up front consistently until I went there. So the gaffer I had there, he kind of just taught me how to play striker, the movements, the hold up play, linking up and stuff like that, which I like to think is one of my strengths.
Yeah.
So I remember when I actually came back from Canada to from Spain to Canada, everyone was like, "Oh wow, technically you've improved. Like your link up play has improved so much." And it was just from being out there and kind of working on it so much. So yeah, it was a good experience. It was a weird experience, but it was a good one.
Well, you mentioned it there. You did return to Canada after that, and when you returned to Canada, you had a real breakthrough kind of moment. You broke a record in the Canadian Premier League for the longest goal scoring streak with 6 goals in 5 games. So, firstly, what made you want to return to Canada? And when you returned to Canada, going back there and breaking a record, how did that feel to get off the mark so well when you returned?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, originally the plan wasn't actually to return to Canada.
Mm.
I came to England and I went on trial at Forest Green at the time. They were League Two. Um, and I went on trial with the first team and I actually got in. They offered me a contract, but I had like it was just long. There were a couple of different complications with training compensation to teams in Spain and stuff like that. It just kept getting delayed. So eventually, this was the season that Forest Green won League Two, and got promoted to League One. Eventually they just said, look, instead of like sitting here waiting around till next season, like, do you want to go play some games? So the plan was to go to Canada for a bit, play some games, and then if everything was right, return to Forest Green at the start of their League One season. So I kind of went back to Canada, got in contact with my old gaffer and that, and they welcomed me back. And I remember when I came back, because I had been playing in Spain and some of the people I was playing with were playing in La Liga, and obviously just been training with Forest Green, and they had just won League Two. I kind of came back and I just felt really confident that these are the players I've been playing with for a while now. I should be able to come back and kind of do well in this league now. I'm a different player. I've grown up. I was 16 when I signed. I think I came back at 19. So it's like 3 years, 2 years later. And yeah, it just kind of just clicked for me and I felt good.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about your international career a little bit. I know you have real ambitions for what you want to do playing for Canada. I believe you mentioned something about the World Cup and that being your kind of aims. But if we talk about how you first, got into playing internationally, so I believe that you're eligible to play for 3 countries: England, Nigeria, and Canada.
Yeah.
So if you just kind of talk about your international career so far, I believe you were involved in the Canadian under-17 squad for some friendlies against Argentina and Mexico. So if you just kind of talk about your international career.
Yeah, so that's another weird story. So I got called up to the U17 national team without playing for a professional academy or a professional team, nothing. So everyone there was playing for like Toronto FC, U19s or whatever, or Vancouver Whitecaps or Montreal Impact, and I was playing local. I was playing USL 2, so it's a league that like college players or university players in North
Okay.
America go play in the summer. So it's like again, it's like 23-year-olds, 22, but I was 15 playing that league. So I was 15 playing there, and they kind of like heard about, oh, there's a 15-year-old playing where with a bunch of 23-year-olds and stuff like that. Let's go have a look. So they had a look, and yeah, they liked what they saw, and they invited me into the U17 um, kind of U17 squad. And again, it was a big difference because you can imagine you're playing local grassroots with your friends or whatever uni soccer, and next thing you know, you're flying to Montreal to link up with the national team. So that was it was a good experience. I did that camp, and then I got invited to the wider squad for the U17 World Cup.
Mm.
So we had like a pre-camp in Argent. We played in Argentina. We played Argentina, and who else we played? We played one more country, and then unfortunately I didn't make the final squad for the U17 World Cup. I was the alternate, so if anyone got injured, I would have
Yeah.
been drafted in. But it was still a good experience, and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a crazy experience, but obviously it just left me wanting more call ups and stuff like that. So unfortunately, COVID kind of cut short the U20s and stuff like that, the U23s for me. But yeah, now my mind is hopefully get a first team call up one day.
Yeah, is that where your ambitions lie then? Because I believe that you said something about the World Cup before and how that's your aims. Is playing for Canada and an international career, is that something that really drives you and motivates you?
Yeah, it's a huge motivation of mine to get a call up one day, and I'm getting closer. Still have a bit to go, but I'm definitely getting closer. Even Nigeria as well. I got called up to the Nigeria U17s, and I chose Canada at the time. But if I get called up to Nigeria as well, wouldn't be opposed to it. But I know I just have to keep working. But yeah, it's definitely a big motivation of mine to get on that international stage and represent one of my two countries.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about your time at Luton then, and yeah, we're going to kind of skim over some of the clubs that you played for on loan. I believe Bromley and Inverness and Grimsby, and then we're going to get on to talking about Southend. So anybody watching, we are going to talk about Southend in just a moment. But firstly, then, if we talk about your time at Luton, so I believe you signed in July 2022 for Luton, coming from Calvary. So how did it feel? Because Luton at the time were a championship club. We're going to talk about them getting promoted to the Premier League in a moment, but at the time they're a championship club. So quite a step up going from Canada to a championship club. How did that feel? You said about your setbacks and stuff, but how did that feel to finally get that, move
Yeah.
into the championship club?
It was, to be honest, I still remember the day I got the call from my agent. So I was planning to go to Forest Green, like I mentioned before. The plan was to go back to Forest Green. I was about to book my flight, sign for Forest Green, and then my agent calls me and he says, Luton have just called me. They want to sign you. I was like, what? Like, I thought he was kind of like pulling my leg. I remember my parents were sat around the table when I got the call, and everyone was just like looking at each other like, what the heck? Um, whatever. So I was just hoping it went through. I ended up signing for Luton, and it was just kind of a surreal moment to go obviously playing in Canada to stepping out, and I got put straight with the first team. So I was training with the first team and stuff like that. And it was like, wow. Um, when I signed, they kind of made it clear you're going to be part of the first team, but you're a project player, so you're going to have to go on loan a bit, and we expect you to take a couple years for you to adapt and get to the level. But it was still for me like, wow, a moment I'm just grateful for, and I'm really grateful for them for bringing me over to England and just giving me the opportunity to kind of develop now. So yeah.
So you were immediately loaned out, I think it was about 6 days later, to Grimsby.
Yeah.
But in the January, you returned to Luton. And then in February, quite a crazy time. In the February, then you were involved in the Luton squad for the first time. Weirdly, against your former side, Grimsby, in the FA Cup. Was that quite weird? Quite a weird period where you've gone to Grimsby, come back to Luton, and then you're playing against Grimsby, or at least involved in the team for the first time, and it happens to be Grimsby in the Cup.
Yeah, it was really weird. Obviously, signed for Luton almost immediately after signing. Like they said, you need to go on loan to develop. So I went on loan to Grimsby. It was a big culture clash. You can imagine going from Canada, Calgary, it's just not a big city, but small city, to Grimsby, United Kingdom. It was a big culture shock, and just even the football, everything was a big tough experience, to be honest. It was a tough experience, but I definitely learned from it, and I'm grateful for it. So then to go from that again to come back at Luton and now be back involved with the first team and to be on the bench against, it was really weird to go back. And it was away at Grimsby as well. So I just left Grimsby and I'd gone away, seen old teammates and some of my old friends. And yeah, it was a weird experience, but you know, football's crazy, and I've kind of learned that throughout
I mean, what are the chances of that? You know, you go back to your club, and then you're involved in the team for the first time. Happens to be against the team you just came from, which is just mad. But that season, then the first season that you're at Luton, I believe they got promoted to the Premier League. I think it was your first season there. So how did that feel? You know, you weren't too involved with the team, but how did that feel? You know, now you're a Premier League player technically.
Yeah, it was the whole year was really weird. So if you think about it, I was in Canada playing in the Canadian League, and then next thing you know, I'm experiencing the club get promoted to the Premier League. I didn't actually get on the pitch at all, but I was training with them every single day. So in the change room every day. So obviously I'm seeing everything that goes into all the hard work that's gone into it, and just the quality, like the standard. And one of the biggest things that stuck with me was just like the belief in the changing room. When I came back in January, their goal was always, even when there were setbacks, whatever, was we're getting promoted to the Premier League. We're getting promoted to the Premier League. And I think from the outside, Luton was quite a small club in the Championship, and a lot of people had them as underdogs, smaller budget and stuff like that. But everyone there believed Luton is get promoted to the Premier League. So being there at Wembley and experiencing them getting promoted, and just being in the change room and stuff like that is something, like I said, even though I didn't touch the pitch at all, it's something that's kind of lived with me forever. And it's, to be honest, it motivates me. It's like I want to get there again, but I want to be on the pitch this time, and I want to, you know, stuff like that. So it's a great experience, and yeah, it's good.
So you then went on loan to Bromley and later Inverness, which I imagine is quite a culture shock again, you know, moving so far away from Luton, going up north to Scotland. You had quite limited playing time at both of them. I think you had a bit more at Inverness, but quite limited to playing time as with Grimsby. So it was kind of a bit of a period of jumping around for you. Did you feel a little bit unsettled, or was it just good to get experience under your belt?
Yeah, for sure I felt unsettled. I think obviously I just wanted somewhere I believed I could play at the level. But obviously people aren't going to believe you until you show it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like I need to find somewhere where I'm going to get games. I need to find somewhere where I'm going to get games. And to be fair, all my teammates at Luton, 𝗘𝟮�11🣣💣, Gabriel Osho, a couple of them, 𝗘𝟮�11🣣💣, when I came back to Luton from a couple of unsuccessful loans, they were like, trust me, this is part of the process. Like they had, I think Elijah went on loan to Swindon, a couple places before he ended up at Walsall.
Yeah.
And at my other friend Gabe, he went on loan to Rochdale and a couple other places. And they're like, this is part of the experience. Like everyone wants it to be sunshine and rainbows, but it's not. You just have to keep your head down. They're like, we've seen you train week in, week out. We know you can play at the level. Keep your head down. And when you find the right club that fits you, trust me, it'll just all click from there. So obviously these people are telling you, but it's hard, and it's hurting your confidence a bit. It's like you jumped from club to club.
Yeah.
No one's really giving me a chance. I think I started 3 games over the past the 2 seasons. So it's like it's hard to show what you can do. But I'm still grateful to all those clubs because it's still got to experience different styles of play, different areas. But yeah, I was just really hungry to find somewhere where I could just, you know, show everyone what I could actually do.
Well, we'll talk about your time at Southend then. You said about jumping around a lot, but this was, you know, your first real breakthrough loan. And of course, you know, the reason I've got you on. So you signed in August 2024 on loan. How did you feel about the move?
Yeah, I was excited. So I had a couple moves that had come up before, and they just didn't feel right. So obviously, like you mentioned, I'd gone to a couple places, and I was just like, nah, this next loan has to be a good one. Like I have to go somewhere where I believe it's going to suit me. And so I turned down a couple moves, and then on deadline day, kind of Southend came around, and immediately when I heard of it, I knew big club. Fans are great. I'd seen a couple of videos of games at Roots Hall and stuff like that. I said, yeah, I'm gonna love this. Obviously they played 3-5-2. That was a formation that I think suited me really well as well. And yeah, I was quite excited. I spoke to the gaffer, and he said, look, you're gonna have a run of games to show what you can do, and then from you it's up to you from there. And that was literally all I could ask for, just a run of games, because I hadn't really had that anywhere else. So I'm really thankful for the club for that. And yeah, thankfully I was able to kind of take off from there.
We had relatively big shoes to fill as well. Obviously, we just lost, our star striker Caldwell, and then the replacement being you on loan. That must be quite an added level of pressure. So, your first, your home debut was a 2-0 win over Eastleigh. Obviously, a nice result, but this is the lowest level in England that you'd played at this point. So you played League Two, but now you've gone to National League. You mentioned there how you had seen some videos of Southend, but were you maybe surprised by the support that Southend had and just how many fans were there at the lowest level in England that
Yeah.
you?
Like I said, I'd heard of Southend before. It's a big club, so I'd heard of it. And I knew they get big support. But actually, when you walk out in Roots Hall and then you see all the fans like singing, that is the next level. And it's, to be fair, it's special. It's really special, and it gets you going. The way the fans get behind the team is something else. Yeah, I just have a lot of love for the fans there, and it was really one of the highlights of my career. My dad's first game, unfortunately, actually was we played Sutton at home. Don't know if you remember. I think we went 1-0 up and we lost 2-1.
Yeah, 3-1. I think it was
3-1. But still, just like coming out and all those fans and having my dad there it was quite special.
Yeah. Was that the one where you got a head injury? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
you had
where
to
I have.
get the head. Oh, is that from that?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's what I
Well,
have now. But yeah, it was still like coming out. I just felt like, ooh, I'm a professional. Like, I'm really playing. So yeah, that was a good experience.
So it took you 3 games to get your first goal, but when you got that first goal, you did it in fashion. You scored a brace in, well, one of my personal favourite away games of the season. It was absolutely brilliant. It absolutely hoofed it down at the end. It was raining like mad, but it was a great day. A 2-4 win away to Solihull. Such a good game. You scored a brace, and you also scored with Keenan, who, well, we should probably shout him out considering he was the one who got me in touch with you. So, for those who don't know, I asked Keenan, you don't have to know Bim, do you? And here we are. So, thank you very much, Keenan. But he scored in that game as well for the first time. So, you'd signed together, scored together. But how did that feel to get off the mark?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. So for me, it's always like, don't know why it takes me a bit to get that first goal. But once I get the first goal, they usually just start to come in bunches. So I remember when I scored the first goal at Solihull, funny enough, if I scored the first one, I missed like a big chance. Gus kind of squared it across to me and I missed. And I was like, oh gosh, like it's not another one of those days. And thankfully I scored my first and it just kind of felt like the weight of the world was off my shoulders. I was able to get a second. I just felt comfortable from there. And yeah, it was an enjoyable win. I think it was quite a high scoring game. Was it like 4-2 or something?
Yeah, 6 goals. Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a crazy game, but enjoyable.
Yeah, it was my brother's first away game as well. So he's not a massive Southend fan, really. He doesn't live with me and my dad because he's quite a bit older. He's about 27. So he hasn't been to many Southend games, but that was his first away game, and my dad couldn't come, hence why he came. And my dad was fuming that he missed that one, and obviously my brother got to see such a great game. The atmosphere was mad as well. Like we had so many fans there, and I remember honestly singing the whole game. It was just crazy. But to be honest, it's probably my third favourite away game. Sadly, my two other ones have probably been Forest Green and Rochdale. Even though I didn't actually go to the Forest Green game, I was watching the screening at Roots Hall, but it felt so good that it felt like I went. So. But another great game for you, but not a good game for me. I'll tell you why in a moment. But the Brentwood Cup game, a 3-5 win. You actually got a hat-trick. I believe, was it your first in your career? Certainly in England, anyway.
I think so. I want to say. I don't think. I didn't get one. I've got a lot of braces, but unfortunately, I haven't got a lot of hat tricks. So yeah, that was.
So
that again was it was a weird game. I think we went 1-0 down.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we went to halftime at 1-1. I got a bit of a bollocking at halftime. And then I kind of came out in the second half, and the goals just came. So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why it wasn't a good game for me. You probably are wondering why, but it should have been a good game for me. So I live in Kent, so it's a little bit further. Well, it's quite a bit further to get to Brentwood, which is in Essex, just around the corner from Southend, really. But quite a bit to get to the game for me. So all sorts of roads were closed that day. I had a ticket. We tried to get to the game, but we didn't quite make it. And if we got to the game, it would have been over by the time we got there. So it was a nightmare. Honestly, it was a nightmare. And that's one of the best results of the season. I'm like, oh my God, come on. So not a great game for me, but a great game for you. You got the match ball, I believe. So have you
no, I left it there. I left
you
it.
left it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a league hat trick, but yeah.
Do you regret leaving the ball now, or?
No, not really. Obviously, respect. I'll do to respect to them, but those are the type of teams I think we should be pummeling. So I just want a league hat trick. So I just keep getting braces, but
yeah,
the hat trick hasn't come yet. So hopefully next season.
Yeah, no, I remember you leaving that ball now. I forgot because I wanted to forget about that game, really. Personal note. But so your final game for the club then, we're going to talk about your time overall at Southend, but if we're going game by game, we're not going for every game because we'll be here forever, but your final game for the club then, well, us fans didn't quite know it at the time that it'd be your final game, but you scored in a 1-0 win on New Year's Day to Braintree. So a really good goal as well, I seem to remember. I believe you gave it a bit to the Braintree fans as well. So talk us through that, because I'm dying to know what happened.
Yeah, obviously in that stadium it's quite small, so you can hear everything. Yeah, I think obviously it's a bit of a derby, so I think I heard a couple of them giving me a bit of stick throughout the game. I don't know. To be honest, when you score a goal, you kind of blank out. Your body just kind of takes over. But I remember I got the ball, I scored, and I gave it a bit. Gus had to kind of like pull me back and be like, "Nah, don't get them riled up," and stuff like that. So probably regret it now, looking back at it. But yeah, it was a good game. I to be honest, at the time as well, I don't think that actually was my last game. I think my last game was the FA Trophy.
Oh yes, I meant league game. Sorry, of course.
Yep. But yeah, it was a good game. I think at that time there was a Christmas period. We'd just beaten Ebbsfleet as well, so it felt like we were really starting to click. Obviously, Charlie Kendall had come in. I was playing up top with him, forming a good partnership. So yeah, that was an enjoyable time.
Well, we're going to talk about that partnership with Kendall later, because I believe on the fan questions, somebody asked about your partnership with Kendall. I think we've got about 12 questions. And to be honest, most of them asked the same question, but we'll leave that to the end. So after that game, you were recalled by Luton. Us fans were absolutely gutted. But how did you feel about being recalled? Because you've been jumping around so much with clubs and loans, and you finally got your foot in the door and really made an impact somewhere. So how did you feel being recalled?
Yeah, it was bittersweet, to be honest. Obviously I love Southend. Like some of my Chesterfield teammates make fun of me. I'm always talking about the Southend scores when I come in and stuff like that. The fans were so good to me. So it was a really, really tough to leave. But obviously I was going up to the EFL, and I think the first time in the EFL League Two, it was at Grimsby, didn't go too well. So I kind of had that personal chip as well. Like, nah, I can play at this level. I want to show people I can play at this level. So that was kind of, and I spoke to the Chesterfield gaffer and stuff like that about how he wants me to play and stuff like that. And he said, look, I've watched you at Southend and you can make this step up. So obviously every player wants to play as high as possible. So it was a really tough decision, kind of went back and forth. But I decided, like, look, no, I'm going to test myself higher up. And but yeah, I loved my time at Southend, still follow the club. Message all my teammates there and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm also grateful to Chesterfield for giving me the opportunity to show what I can do at a high level as well.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about your time at Chesterfield in just a moment. So you're obviously loved by Southend fans, but not just for your performances, because I was talking to my dad about this before. We agreed it weren't just down to your performances, which were obviously great, but also for your personality too. Such a likable person, somebody who I was really excited to have on the podcast. And we're not done yet, but it's been brilliant so far. And you even had a song which not everyone has a song at Southend. So obviously a little Southend twist on American Boy, Canadian Boy. So how was it hearing that sung by fans?
Yeah, it was honestly, like I said, my connection with the Southend fans, there was It was unbelievable, and just hearing the songs when I had a Boxing Day 𝗘𝟮🲺, had my parents in the crowd. I had my parents and my cousin, and I think after I scored my first or my second in that game, everyone was singing the song in the stadium, and
Yeah,
my cousin sent me a video of her and my dad and my family singing the song, and it was honestly, it was incredible. Those are kind of the moments you kind of dream of. So yeah, it was like I said, my connection with the Southend fans. I think it's always going to be one of love, and it's really strong. So yeah, I still get a bunch of messages on my social media from them asking, when I'm going to come back, or like just thankful for everything. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm really grateful to them, and I think they know how much I love them. Hopefully they do.
Well,
So yeah.
yeah. So I asked fans for questions, which we'll leave to the end. But I try and do this with quite a lot of the ex-player ones that I've done. But I can honestly say this is the most I've ever had, and I only did it really a few hours before I put out the post announcing it. So yeah, we've got a lot of questions at the end to get through, which would be nice little quick fire. But yeah, I think about 10 of them asked the same question, which you can imagine what that is. But we'll talk about your time at Chesterfield then. So I think it was this year, a couple of days after leaving Southend, you signed for Chesterfield, and geographically, Southend is not too far from Luton, but Chesterfield's quite a trek away from Luton. So
Yeah.
how was that? How was that? Firstly, signing for Chesterfield. You said about testing yourself and everything, but was it again a bit of uprooting considering you have to move so far away?
Yeah, it was. Well, to be fair, I think I mentioned earlier, I have lots of family in Leicester, so I kind of moved there before. So Chesterfield's only about an hour from Leicester,
Yeah.
so it wasn't actually too bad. It was probably actually closer for me than Southend, like closer to my family and stuff like that. So that wasn't too bad. And then obviously everyone in the club made me feel super welcome. Great changing room as well. Great, similar to Southend, great club, great fans and stuff like that. So it wasn't too hard, if I'm being honest, to kind of get settled down there. Everyone kind of made it quite easy.
So similar to how you started at Southend, actually, you took a few games. I think it was about the same amount of games as you took at
Five
Southend to
or
score your first goal.
six. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But when you scored your first goal, you scored a brace. Again, just like you did at Southend. You said you like a brace, but how did that feel to get off the mark in higher level as well for Chesterfield?
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing. Like I said, I don't know. It takes me a bit to score the first goal, but
Yeah,
once I score the first goal, they usually kind of come in bunches. But yeah, it was a relief. Obviously, it was my first EFL goal as well.
yeah,
So obviously, leaving Southend, you wanna prove that, okay, I've left Southend now. I want to prove that I wasn't like a purple patch, and I want to prove I can do it. I can score goals at the League Two level. So when that finally went in, it was a big relief. And yeah, it was a good day. I think we beat Doncaster like 4-2, 5-2 or something. And it was me and a bunch of the other new signings who'd scored. So that was definitely one of the highlights of my season. It was a good game. And yeah, it kind of just got me a bit settled.
yeah. So throughout the rest of the season, then, well, actually, before that, something I want to ask, and something that Southend fans are going to be particularly interested in, considering we're 90 minutes away from getting to League Two. But do you think there's quite a big jump up from National League and League Two, maybe in quality or physicality, or do you think they're quite similar?
I'd say they're quite similar. I think especially the top to middle of the National League is almost identical as the middle to bottom of League Two. I think you see that when they play an FA Cup and it's games like that, it's
Yeah,
like it's quite close. I would say maybe the top of League Two. I say like the top of League Two and the bottom of the National League. That's like a big gap. But other than that, it's quite similar. I'd say teams maybe punish you a bit more in League Two than they would in the National League. So obviously at Chesterfield as well, we're a possession-based side. So a lot of teams would kind of just sit back and wait for the counter attack. And even like we found out in the playoffs against Warsaw, they're a lot more clinical in the counter attack when they have those opportunities. Or maybe the National League, you
yeah,
can kind of get away with stuff like that because they won't punish you as much. But the gap that isn't that big. I think you've seen it. Bromley as well came up, and they
yeah,
were only a couple points outside the playoffs.
yeah.
I don't remember the last time a team went up from the National League and went.
No, I don't. I could be wrong on this, but
Yeah.
I'll fact check it afterwards. But I think that since the new system came in, I don't think any teams got relegated immediately after when they got promoted to League Two. So it does suggest, and when teams come down from League Two to National League, they tend to struggle a little bit. I know Southend did. We finished 13th in our first season, which isn't too bad, but for Forest Green to do what they did, that's quite rare for a team. I mean, I haven't seen it once. I don't think really. Grimsby are probably the last team that I remember coming down and going straight back up. But,
so I think even when I was going on loan to National League originally, like to go to Bromley to drop down to National League, and I was like, oh, I don't know about National League. Everyone at Luton was like, it's basically League 3, like it's the exact same thing. So there isn't that big of a gap. I think that's why they say the National League promotion is really the hardest one, because there's only 2 teams that go up, so it's quite hard. So
absolutely, and teams have been campaigning for 3 up, which is definitely something that should happen, in my opinion. But yeah, Southend close, so hopefully, fingers crossed, Sunday will be a good day for us. So throughout the rest of the season, then with Chesterfield, you helped them get to the playoffs, finishing inside them by just 1 point on the final day. How was that? So dramatic on the last day. Quite similar to Southend in many ways, in how it all came down to the last day, just finishing inside. So how was that?
Yeah, it was a good day. It was weird because obviously we had to depend on Salford was playing Carlisle, who were already relegated.
Yeah.
So you don't know what Carlisle's going to do. You don't know if they're just going to pack it in or whatever. But obviously you got the fans telling us to score. So Carlisle went 1-0 up. You hear our away fans going a bit mad, and you hear them going 2-0 up. We think, okay, just focus, get the job done. Then I think we went a goal up. Will Grigg scored. So we're 1-0 up. But now you're hearing, 2-1, 2-2. You think, they're just gonna do it. But the end of our game was crazy, and we're still waiting to hear, like, are they gonna score? But our keeper Ryan Boot pulled off some crazy saves to keep us in it. And when the final whistle went and we realized we were in the playoffs, it was good because, we went through a lot in the season. We had lots of injuries and stuff like that. We had a patch where we lost 4 in a row, and I think we were like the same points on the relegation zone as we were from the playoffs. So you're thinking like, it's not going to be this year. But then we just, same way we had I think we won 4 in a row and then lost like 1 in our last like 10 or something like that. We just went on a crazy run. And so we're just battling through. And so to make it was a big credit. So it was enjoyable.
Well, quite similar to Southend. At one point we were, pretty much the same position. We were, I think, about 9 points off with a few weeks to go, the playoffs. But managed to do it. So in the playoffs then for Chesterfield, it didn't quite go as planned. You lost both games to Walsall, who I think lost the playoff final today. So maybe a little bit of revenge for you. But how did that feel? Getting to the playoffs. You feel like you've done all the hard work to get there, and then it kind of doesn't go the way you want to.
Yeah, the playoffs is obviously it's tough. Like, it's quite unpredictable. It's even, I can imagine the National League one because it's just a 1 game. So ours was even 2 legs, but it's just tough, and it comes down to moments. So I think, to be honest, we backed ourselves and we felt good going into it. I think in the first leg we lost 2-0, and it kind of left us with a lot to do going into the second leg, going back to their place. They're comfy to just sit in and soak the pressure. Their keeper's going down every 5 minutes to waste time. So it was quite tough, and obviously disappointing at the end not to go through. We're only 1 game or 2 games away from Wembley. So that was quite disappointing. But I think on the whole, just getting into the playoffs, considering everything that club had been through, all the injuries, stuff like that, was still quite exciting. And for sure, I think next season the goal is them automatic promotion. There's no reason why they can't. Strong squad, Gaffer's excellent. So they'll be back stronger.
Did you enjoy your time at Chesterfield then? And also, do you think it went to plan? You said you wanted to test yourself at that level. And, on paper, I don't really watch too much Chesterfield, but it looked like you did well there. Do you think it went to plan, and did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. Like I said, the fans there, again, were great. Every time I'd go out, because I was living in Chesterfield, so every time I go out to the shops and stuff like that, or go get like groceries and that, it'd be, oh, Bim, like, can I have a photo? Like, da 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 da. They're really great people. And yeah, I scored a couple goals. I probably would have wanted a bit more, especially on the final day. Probably would have liked a bit more, but it was great. The gaffer was brilliant. The whole staff there were brilliant with me.
Yeah.
The man management of me was really good. I had Will Grigg and Paddy Madden to learn off of, and
Yeah.
they were excellent. Definitely people that I still message in the future to get more advice and stuff like that. So yeah, I loved my time there as well. Like I said, would have loved for it to end in a promotion or a couple more goals, but yeah, it was enjoyable as well. So yeah, and I showed myself I could play in League Two,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, you went to another club with a good fan base, you know, as a Southend fan. I'm not going to say a better fan base, but I'll say a good fan base. I'll give you that. But did you hear any? Maybe you just didn't hear them, but did you hear any songs made for you by their fans?
Yeah, to be fair, they used to sing Pepple again, ole ole.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they were. I enjoyed that one. Their fans are really good as well. That you really got behind the team,
Yeah.
even after Walsall, in the second leg when Walsall had scored the goal that kind of killed the game. Our fans were singing and getting behind the boys. So yeah, that's another great club. Only good things to say about everyone in the club there. So yeah, hopefully Southend comes up
Yeah.
on Saturday, and then Southend versus Chesterfield. That'll be two great clubs going at it, and hopefully next year they both get promoted to League One. So yeah,
Yeah, hopefully that would be nice, wouldn't it? So,
yeah,
one more thing, and then we'll get onto the fan questions, quick fire, and we'll probably talk a bit more about Southend in that as well. But one more thing, I don't expect you to be able to actually say what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen in football. But what do you think are your kind of next steps and plans for the future?
yeah. So we'll see. To be honest, I couldn't really tell. Obviously, I'm a Luton player, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back into Luton for preseason. I kind of
yeah,
haven't met with the gaffer there. It's a new gaffer and stuff like that.
yeah,
Obviously they've come down to League One, so I just played League Two last year. Did pretty
yeah,
well. So League One is not too far off. So
yeah,
we'll see. Gonna sit down with the gaffer, have a conversation with him about what's next for me, whether it's
yeah.
at Luton or yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me is I just want to be playing football. So
Absolutely, yeah,
I enjoyed this last season of just getting that's the most minutes I've probably ever played in my career across both clubs. So yeah, I
yeah.
want to continue that, keep developing. So we'll see. I'm a Luton player. My future's in their hands, and so we'll see what the club has planned for me. But yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll move on to some fan questions then. To wrap it up. I'll get this one out of the way then. So this has been asked by Harry McCarthy, Will Flitch Bramble. Honestly, this list is mad. Josh Smith, Harley Gardner, Sheila, Anthony Scarf, Liam, Buckleframe, Nico. Sorry, not Nemo. So many people have asked when are you coming back?
We'll see. Like I said, I'm a Luton player, so my future's in Luton's hands. But football's a crazy world, so anything can happen. So I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah, like I said, while I'm away, I'm always keeping track of the club, their results. I'll definitely be watching the game on Saturday over
yeah,
here in Canada, and fingers crossed. I have a good feeling, but fingers crossed
yeah.
to get
Oh, I'm
promoted.
so nervous. I'll be there. So I'm very, very nervous. But
Yeah.
so we got a question from actually a Luton fan, which I think it's the only one from a Luton fan. The rest are Southend fans. Lewis LTFC. So he has asked, do you see yourself having a future with Luton?
Yeah, so like I said, obviously Luton was the one that brought me to England and kind of took the chance on me while I was in Canada. So I'm forever grateful for that. So I just kind of have to sit down with the gaffer, which I haven't done yet. Their
Yeah,
season ended before me, so I was still playing, and then obviously when mine finished, everyone's on break. So I'm gonna have a bit of a break and just
yeah,
relaxing, which is what I'm doing. And then I'll go in, I'll speak with the club, speak with the gaffer, and see what their plans
yeah.
are for me. So, but obviously, I'd love to play for the club. They gave me an opportunity, so I'm grateful for that. So yeah, we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a question from Blue Room at SUFC, and he has asked favorite moment in a blue shirt.
Favorite moment? Ooh,
I assume he means Southend, not
yeah,
Chesterfield.
yeah. Favorite moment? I would say I want to say Ebbsfleet at home,
Yep.
Boxing Day. So obviously day after my
Yeah.
birthday, I had my whole
Yeah.
family in the crowd from Canada, scored a brace. Yeah, that was a good moment. That I remember the place was rocking then. Yeah, that was Ebbsfleet at home was a good day.
Oh yeah, that was a great game, and I think my dad's friend came with us. So,
Oh
to
yeah.
be honest, he is a good luck charm because every time I think he's been to about 6, 7 games with us now.
Yeah.
We've never lost when he's been there.
Make
So,
sure he's at the final then.
oh, we tried, but he can't come. So I'm a bit nervous now. But it works the same if he watches it on TV.
Yeah,
But if he watches it, we don't lose then either. So we've made sure he's on the zone.
yeah.
So the next one is: do you wish you could be walking out at Wembley with the boys? And that's from John Thorpe.
Yeah, obviously, I don't think I have any regrets of
Yep.
going to Chesterfield. I really enjoyed my time at Chesterfield as well. Like I said, it's also a great club, and they gave me the opportunity. The gaffer there was brilliant with me as well. But obviously, I'm watching the boys, and I'm happy for them. Really happy for them. I do wish I could be walking out at Wembley myself if our players had gone better. Um, but yeah, I'm just really happy for all my friends at Southend. I've messaged all of them good luck and stuff like that. So yeah, I just to be fair, I don't really care too much. I just want them to go up.
Yeah.
As long as Southend goes up, whether it's with or without me, then I'll be happy.
Oh, brilliant. So this is from SUFC Liam. He has asked, what do you think of Southend fans selling out their Wembley allocation? I don't know if you've seen what's happened with the tickets. It's
I've heard
just
a bit,
shambles.
but I haven't.
Oh,
Something about like it's lowered allocation because there's
yeah. Well, in my opinion, and I know you'll probably share this view, that Southend could easily take about 30,000 to Wembley. You know, just look at our attendances. We got nearly 10,000 in a league game, which wasn't even that big of a game at the time. But and it's all been limited because certain train stations are closed, and
Well,
it's all been a bit of a nightmare. But Southend fans have sold out their allocation. They keep kind of every now and then giving us an extra 4,000, extra 2,000, but
yeah,
we keep selling out.
yeah.
So that's his question. What do you think of us selling out our Wembley allocation?
Yeah, I think that's kind of expected from the Southend fans. I think everyone in the league would say Southend's probably the biggest club in the National League. I think I said before, I think we played Charlton in the FA Cup, and I said in an interview, Southend is probably should be a League One team as well. Maybe even probably even bigger. Just the
Yeah,
fans that we get. So I'm not surprised, and I know all the
yeah,
boys are gonna be ready, and they're gonna be ready for Saturday. I'm just
yeah,
jealous. I know the atmosphere inside that stadium is going to be crazy. So yeah,
absolutely.
and I know all the players really appreciate the support. We used to talk about all the time in the changing room that, especially if we get a home fixture,
Yeah,
people don't want to come to Roots Hall with our fans getting behind us. So Wembley, I know it's split allocation, but I know the Southend fans are going to be making it loud, and the boys are going to hear their support. So yeah,
yeah.
hope we get some over the line.
Well, we've got a few more questions, but just before that, you said about the dressing room stuff. Do you keep in contact with quite a few of them? Which ones were you closest with in the squad?
So that's the thing. It was a weird for me in the fact that I was probably close with everyone in the changing room. I've never really had that before where almost everyone.
Yeah,
So I message quite consistently,
mm,
almost everyone. I think maybe I'm closest to Colin, Josh Walker, and James Golding, but I still talk to
yeah,
Cav, Danny Waldron, all those people every now and then. So yeah, the change room there is just honestly, it's one of the best. Everyone's so nice, and everyone's focused on what the goal is. So yeah, I do.
absolutely. And I think it really helps having such nice players, and you can really tell that they're nice people. Because I think, to be honest, a lot of the reason why I don't really enjoy Premier League and things like that is like you don't really feel that connection with
Good to
with
know.
players like
Yeah,
you do at this level. You
yeah,
maybe used to. Like I think when I was younger, I felt more of a connection with Premier League players and stuff.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think as football's gone on, non-league is like how it used to be. Like
yeah,
fans that are right at the centre of the club,
yeah,
and that's what I love about Southend personally. And I think that says a lot about you that you're so close with everybody. I can't imagine everybody just walk into a team of a country that they're not, born in, but haven't lived in since like living in Canada, and you kind of just walk in and be friends with everyone. So it's quite a nice thing. But I think I know the answer to this next one because you're currently in Canada, as we mentioned at the start. But are you coming on Sunday?
Oh, unfortunately, I will not be. I think
No.
the final was a bit closer to the Chesterfield, like our playoffs, then probably could have done so, but the gap was so big, and I just kind of had to go home. But I'll for sure be watching on the television here, and yeah, the boys have my full support. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that was asked by Sam, David, and Ramsey 1987. So, this one comes from Fred Hardy. Are Southend going up?
I think so, yeah.
You can't say anything else. We're on a Southend podcast. We've got to be positive, haven't we? So this one comes from Callum Willis. I think we spoke about it a little bit before. Some of these cross over a little bit with my own questions and what we spoke about. But he asked, what was going through your mind when you were told you were being recalled?
Yeah, like I said, it was bittersweet. Yeah, it was bittersweet. Obviously, I was quite sad to leave the team, and we were going through like a real period of picking up momentum. So I felt like we were really pushing on, and I was like, gosh, leaving fans, and now we're really pushing on. We're starting to look like a top team in the division, and thankfully, even as I've left, they pushed on and done better probably than when I was there anyway. So it's probably maybe a blessing that I left. But yeah, it was really bittersweet. But obviously, I was also really excited to try my luck in the EFL again and prove myself in League Two in a higher division, and hopefully get myself closer to a national team call up one day. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, this next one, for some reason, I haven't actually written down who sent it in, which is quite bad. So sorry to whoever that was. But we've got a question from somebody. Apologies for that. But they said, what was it like working under 𝗘𝟮�11? And it's
so 𝗘𝟮�11 was really good for me. Like I said, him, Daz, and Benno, all of them, they gave me a chance when a lot of clubs probably wouldn't have given me a chance. So he gave me a run of games. He said, look, you have a run of games. I believe in you. And even they did a lot of work in the training ground with just my finishing, my hold up playing and that. So I have nothing else but good things to say about the gaffer. And it's really good now that he's kind of getting his plaudits for what he's done with the club. And pushing them into playoffs. I'm really hoping for him and the whole club they get over the line. But all three of them, Daz, Gaffer, and Benno, were really good with me. So yeah,
absolutely. And I'm honestly, all I can think about is the playoffs on Sunday. I'm so nervous. So we got this one from Joe Sterry. So you've spoken about your favourite moment in a blue shirt, and that happens to be at Roots Hall. But he has also asked, what's your favourite moment at Roots Hall? Have you got another one that sticks out to you?
Favorite moment at Roots Hall. I really enjoyed the Charlton game. I think it would have been better if we had won, but that was a great game. And Tamworth at home.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a great game as well. So probably those three, but maybe Charlton. The atmosphere at Charlton.
Oh yeah,
was incredible, and unfortunately we just didn't get over the line. But that was
so unlucky in that game as well.
Yeah.
I was there, and it was just like, so unlucky. But to be honest, I didn't really come away from it feeling too sad. I imagine you did as a player, but I came away from it really feeling, honestly, that we're giving it everything. It was just like one of those things. But
I think it also gives us a bit of confidence that wow, if we can do that, Charlton, they've just gone up to the championship, so that's the top League One team. Then there's no reason why we can't go up this year. So yeah.
No. And it's just like it was nice to see an away end full like that. We haven't seen that in years since we come down. The only team that have really done that was Wrexham. They brought quite a few. And York tends to bring quite a few. But really, we haven't seen an away end that full where it's going all the way around. It's so long. So yeah, it was amazing to see that the away end so full and a proper game. It felt like a proper EFL game. That so it's quite nice. So I think this is the last one. This comes from Howard. So this one says, you seem to work really well with Charlie Kendall. Why do you think you two played so well together?
Yeah, to be fair, let me say before, all the strikers were really good. We all had different qualities. So when I played with Macaulay Bonne, he was more of the when the flick on, hold it, and I would be more of the running behind. With Walks, it was the opposite. I would have to be the bigger one, aerial one, and Walks would kind of be the one in behind or come in the half spaces. But Charlie Kendall, he came in at a time where, and he came in around that Christmas period, and he kind of revitalized us. I remember one of the things I noticed right away was just, I forget, was the first game we started 𝗘𝟮�11? Was that the first game we started together? I think so. It was the first game we started. Yeah, I think it was 𝗘𝟮�11 and his pressing, like when he shut down the keeper. I remember I came into the game and I was feeling a bit like sluggish, and the ball went back to their keeper and he just ran. And I remember they tried to like clear it and he hit it out of bounds and got the whole stadium going. So he gives that energy, and he's just so like electric, like explosive. So I just felt like, with him causing havoc, then it kind of got me going like, oh, he's doing this, I need to turn it on, and it was quite good. And then he assisted me, I think, as well. So yeah, we just kind of, sometimes with players, it kind of just clicks, and it felt like it kind of just clicked, and we're both causing havoc. And I know he would cause havoc on his side, I'd cause havoc on my side, and sometimes we would switch. When he would go out wide because he's comfortable getting out wide as well, I'd go into the box as the 9, and vice versa. So it was really good. He's just a great guy as well. But like I said, I think all the strikers, they'll have their own qualities. Obviously, like I said, Macca, Bonne, Josh Walker, everyone. So yeah, but yeah, it was a special connection.
Absolutely. Well, that pretty much wraps up the podcast. I've kept you here for over an hour now. I really appreciate you giving me so much time. I've really, really enjoyed it. I hope you have too.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Like I said,
cool.
I'm getting a bit nervous now for the final as well.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to say just before I end it?
Just thank you to all the fans, the whole staff at Southend. I think everyone knows how grateful I am to the club for everything they've done. I think the position I was starting the season compared to now it's a huge difference, and it's really in testament to Southend and stuff like that. So yeah, everyone, I'm wishing you guys all the best for the final. I'll be watching, and yeah.
Fingers crossed. Well, thank you very much, Bim. I absolutely love doing these, and when I have people that are so chatty, so keen to engage with it and stuff, it makes it so much easier. So thank you so much for coming on. If anyone has enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe. I've got quite a few more things planned just before the playoffs. Not ideal during my A levels, but that can wait. It's fine. This comes first, so. But yeah, so hopefully I'll have a playoff special coming out in the next day or two. So that's it. That's it from us. Bim Pepple. Well, I don't want to say Luton's, but I was going to say Southend's Canadian boy, but ex-Canadian boy, we'll have to say. But thank you very much, Bim. Everyone, thank you for watching. And I'll see you all on the next one.
I really want to come pick you with you. You'll be